I'm
What's
Joe
going on?
Satriani.
Pleased to meet you.
How are you?
I'm good.
And I'm here to talk to you about pedals and stuff like that.
All right. Well, we've gathered a couple pedals that I take it are part of your standard rig.
Yeah, it
so
looks
tell
pretty
us a
good.
little bit about them and what each one of them does for you.
Well, the easiest one, of course, is the whammy pedal, right? It goes whammy, right? And I guess I don't use it that much. Sometimes what's cool about it, besides the obvious, is if you set it on a shallow chorusing effect, it's kind of cool to be able to control it so that it's not just a set and forget kind of a sound.
Sort of like an expression pedal for the effect?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's cool. For some reason, it's dirtier than an expression pedal. I don't know what that is, but that funky vibe I really like about it. And that's, you know, funky vibe, that's what this is all about, right? It's a great effect. I know there's some voodoo going on deep inside this box. If you've ever looked at it, it's not the kind of thing that you can work on by yourself. But boy, a minimal adjustment from here and your guitar can sound like an organ going through a stack. It's really amazing. It makes a little bit of noise, but you just have to learn exactly when to turn it on. But it certainly made a couple of my songs just like huge sounding. So I like that a lot. Here's a pedal. Of course, I've got a couple of the original Michael Fuller full-tone ultimate octaves that sound great. Believe it or not, they are really collectible for their age because like all cool pedals, they've got components in them that aren't always available, right?
Okay.
So, you know, people who obsess about pedals like me, we might call them up and say, hey, that pedal from 6 months ago sounds different than the pedal that I just got today. And he'll say, you're crazy, but you swear by it, and that's the one that you always need for that song. But this one here, I usually run the tone down low, and I usually run just about like that. And if that's running into my JSX, any one of the channels, or I'm using it with the saturator, it just gets that crazy Hendrix machine gun tone, you know. I mean, that's so cool. And then, of course, the thing that's cool about that, you know, you play with your volume control here, you bring it down, you use the neck pickup, and that thing really comes alive. It's so expressive. That's when it really sounds like some unusually complex octave device giving you that upper octave. And because when you're running at full throttle, it may just sound like a fuzz box,
Right.
with some upper harmonic stuff. But
Loses the nuances a
yeah,
little.
so the key is to run your volume low. It's a freaky little thing, but so there you go.
on.
And then of course the saturator, that's brand new. I mean, this is so brand new. It's not even in here. You can't get it yet. Something like July, I think Guitar Center starts getting them.
Right on.
And you know, this is like the thing that gets my sound now. So I finally have my box that I can always get my sound out of. And I'm usually running it somewhere around here for full gain if I'm using Distortion 1. And this little thing here, it says more. I don't know if they can see that there. Because, you know, I was always saying, sometimes you're on stage and you don't want a volume boost because generally it's the front of house guy that's taking care of all volumes.
Right.
But you just want more stuff, whatever that is. And I didn't want to call it more distortion. I didn't want to call it 11, you know, like Nigel Tufnell. So we just left it at more, and that's what it does. It's pretty cool. Cool thing about it is if you run Distortion 1 at half mast, so it's just more of a crunchy thing, and you step on this, it gets you to a little bit beyond that. So it's very useful in that regard. And then it's got this little switch here called a pad, right? Now this is something that we discovered when we were working on trying to get a basic distortion pedal to be more dynamic, to have a better complete low-end to mid-range response, not to be scooped and really fizzy on top, right? We found that we could get it to be more aggressive and more articulate. But sometimes you can go so far to the point where pedals on either side of it may not enjoy it as well. So I thought, well, let's give the option of making this the ultimate distortion pedal by allowing that to happen. But if somebody gets like a really cool wah-wah, like a Dimebag wah that's got a lot of gain in it,
right,
and it's sending a really hot signal into here, what you can do is run it with the pad switch, and it just sort of protects that circuit inside there so that it can accept a lot of hot gain, hot pickups, hot wah-wah, whatever,
without
and it
going
passes
crazy
it through, and you don't get any of that nasty clipping sound. So we wound up sort of solving one problem, and then we created this other little cool thing, which is when you're running it by itself and you've got that pad switch up, you get this mellower, almost as if someone's already recorded it and put it through a nice limiter or something. It's a very interesting thing that I wish I could say I thought of myself, but it was kind of an accident. But we were smart enough to capitalize on it, I suppose.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Do you run that generally into a clean channel or into an already distorted channel?
If I'm using lots of pedals, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just use the clean channel on the JSX, and I'll keep the volume, You know, the way that we design the clean channel on that is that it is crystal clear up to about 4, and then almost imperceptibly you start to get a little bit of gain. But it's not meant to be a dirty channel by any means. But any kind of a distortion pedal will pick up on that, and they start to get darker. So we kind of play with that depending on the size. This thing is very flexible, so you kind of twiddle the knobs the way you want.
Is there a particular order you have to run pedals in, or a reason behind the order you run them in?
Here's the key. Let's say you've got a POG. The POG does a lot of complex analyzing, right? And it puts out this beautiful thing that sounds like a church organ, you know, out of your guitar sound. And so it does not want to see a sound that's already been chopped up or mutilated by, you know, any of those boxes.
Okay.
It wants to see your clean guitar. And then from there, you can start to change the nature of the timbre of it, right? And so any of those distortion boxes should go after that. That's pretty much, I mean, there is no right way. You know that, right? I mean, you know.
Whatever works.
Right, Hendrix used to record clean and then use the studio tape delay, and Neil Young used to go into the delay and run it into a distorted deluxe reverb, right? So both sounds are valid. So, I mean, I hate to say there's a right way, but if I'm doing it, I like to keep any of this harmonic kind of stuff before any kind of distortion stuff.